Thank you for joining us on TRP Live, a show created by the Reclamation Project to not only have candid discussions that we often do, but to also showcase amazing stories that edify the Christian journey. I am your host tonight, Dr. Christopher Dent. Tonight, we're going to talk to an author, singer, husband, and father of two. This Bakersfield, California native is a man of many talents. His new book was inspired by his personal tales of being a stay-at-home father, and whose daughter is faced with the challenge of doing it differently with daddy. Tonight, we have with us here the creator of that book, Daddy Does Things Differently. To talk about it, please welcome Eddie Harvey Jr. Eddie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for
Sure.
having me.
And how are you doing today?
Man, it's always a blessing to be in the land of the living, man. So I'm blessed and I'm grateful, man. Thank you to the Reclamation Project and to you all, man, for doing this. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate
No
it.
problem. You know what? There's a lot of questions that the interviewers would like to know. So let's just jump into this thing. So the first question I want to ask you, what happened in your life that caused you to write this powerful children book entitled Daddy Does Things Differently?
Oh, man. So, you know what? In 2015, well, let me back up. 2012, I had an injury that kind of transitioned me into being a stay-at-home dad.
Mhm.
And then in 2015, so I'd been a stay-at-home dad for about 3 years, and I had a health scare. Was working out, man, doing some of my physical therapy, and
Mhm.
came across a lump in my chest, which scared me.
Mhm.
And long story short, man, I ended up it was like a 30-day process getting checked out, and the first thing I thought about was, man, this might be cancerous. You have lumps. That's not a natural thing.
Mhm.
But God was good, man. And so after that experience, after 30 days of just not knowing, um, I uh, I really just wanted to. I had this urge, man, to just do something. I wanted something tangible. I wanted a tangible legacy for my children, man.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and as I was pondering the thought and just thinking it over, writing is what came to mind, and that was the beginning. Um, of the thought that what I think I'm gonna try to write a children's story
That's
in
beautiful.
honor of my children.
Eddie, that is absolutely beautiful. And I want to stop by and just say that I am proud of you. Why? Because you had a situation in your life that you were at a fork, you stopped, you made some decisions, and then you said, I'm going to take what's in my mind and I'm going to put it to writing. And you have finished a project you started and you have finished. So Eddie, because a lot of people don't really know you, let's go back. Let's go back to Bakersfield. And let's look at how did you grow up? In interviewing earlier, I gathered some data that said that you grew up in a Christian home. You had both parents.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
So definitely a man of faith, man. Would not be here
Mhm.
were it not for grace.
Yes.
So yeah, man. I grew up in a two-parent household until about the fifth grade. Is when my
Mhm.
parents separated, and I lived with my mom at that point.
Mhm.
And man, just at that point in time, it didn't seem to have a huge effect.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think I was too young to really get it.
Mhm.
I was mom's. She took care of me, man. So
Mhm.
I had the church.
Mhm.
I had all my boys at church,
Mhm.
because that's where I grew up, and I really didn't feel like I was missing anything, other than the fact that my dad was physically not in the home anymore.
Mhm.
um, but of course, as you grow and as you experience life, man, things start to turn up. So for me, I think it was high school that I really, um, I really began to deal with the maybe the trauma, if you want to call it that, of not having, my dad in the home, and all the things that I said that I wouldn't do based off of him, like I'm not going to be like my dad.
Right.
Um, Everything that I said, I'm doing it left and right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, man, I mean, it's a part of life. We're the good and bad of our parents.
That's right.
And, it's a blessing if we live long enough to be able to realize that at some point we get to start making some different choices if there's things that we're not happy with.
That's right.
And it took me a long time, man, God's grace, man, God's
Yeah.
grace. I'm grateful.
Man, thank you so much, Eddie. And your mother saw the importance when your parents separated. One thing that your mother did, she made sure that you were close to your brothers, and your brothers are your singing group, and she made sure that you guys stayed in rehearsals. And then, can you share briefly with us, since your family was disconnected, did you have an extended father? Did you have someone that you look forward to, or replaced your current father? Who was that? And can you share a little bit with us?
So like you said, man, so my brothers, man, the group that I sang with, who were the Sons of Thunder, we did a little something not too long ago. So those are my brothers, of course. I had James and Shannon, who were cousins, who were definitely brothers to me, taught me how to dress and, just how to be a young man. And then growing up in the church that we grew up in, there were definitely father figures. And the ones that I think that I was really drawn to, there was a Roger Frazier was one.
Okay.
Who man, just always had a good word, was always positive, was a spiritual man, but yet he was real,
Yeah.
And that, being a teenager, a young adult,
Yeah.
still around church, after a while you start wanting to have real experiences, man. It's not about being fake, man, and show up in church and act holy and then acting a fool, as soon as the lights go off, that
Right.
type of thing. So,
Right.
in my journey, man, Roger was a major. Stanley's father, which I call him Papa Stan, huge influence. We spent many a days at his house. What's up, Sharon, Kim? I say you, Raina. Many days practicing at Papa Stan's house, man. And he was another one that I just felt like, he was a man of God, but he was real, man.
Right.
In the Bible, David and Samson were the two guys that
Come on.
I think when I finally got of age, those were the two that I identified. And I was like, if God could still love them after their experiences, then I have
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah.
And so, man, Papa Stan and Roger, I think, will probably be the main two. But then outside of that, man, it was James Channing by choice, which is
Right.
Derek Paul, Stanley, my boy Neville, of course. We just we raised each other, man.
Right.
We raised each other. And
Man,
then I
that's
came
good.
out a strong mama.
Yes. Yes. Man, that's good. Let's fast forward to your teenager years, because once again, if you came in your life, there was a fork in the road. You were very athletic, and you were good in all sports, but you chose football. Talk about that a little bit. The choice that you had to make, to either stay on the team or leave the team. What choice did you make?
Neville Boston. So yeah, man, football was my sport. Football was definitely my sport. I grew up. So I was born in San Leandro area. So Oakland was my spot. That's where my cousins lived. So, the Oakland Raiders, man, the Coliseum, my cousins lived around. My grandmother lived not far from there. So football was huge. It's interesting, man. So in high school is when I started playing football.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started, it was on Thursday nights. So that was no problem, you know, growing up as an Adventist. But when Friday rolled around, you know, first it started out with junior varsity. And so those games would start before the sun set.
Mm-hmm.
But then as the season got later, you know, sun was down, man.
Come on.
And so at that point, man, I was like, well, why would God give me a talent if he didn't want me to use it? And
That's
I'll
right.
be a different cat on the field, all that kind of stuff, man. I see you, Paul. Paul was there. Paul. Um,
22.
so man, initially, man, I didn't make uh the best choice, I would say.
Okay.
I played um frost soft and I played JV and then of course varsity, that's Friday night. So I did that 2 years. Then I transitioned to Bakersfield College where I continued playing. And really, man, I think that is when towards the end of that season, um, is when I really kind of felt like God was really transitioning me
Mm-hmm.
out of football, man. You know, football was something that I loved and that I did,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for 6 years. And, you know, that's full time, you know, full
Mm-hmm.
time plus being in school.
Mm-hmm.
But after my second year at Bakersfield College, man, I just didn't have it. We literally we did football year round. You know, so you finished if you made it to playoffs and to the championship game, you would finish in December. You were back at it in December.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you went all the way again. You would start back January, and you know you're back in it again, man. And so by the end of my sophomore year, I was done. And you know, a lot of smaller schools, you know, were looking at me, you know, to
Mm-hmm.
come out. And man, I feel like God just kind of just took the taste out of my mouth, man. And
Mm-hmm.
when I stepped away, you know, I thought it was going to be real difficult for me, man. But it was like it was the easiest transition, and I just contribute that to really um, God having other plans, man.
All
You
right.
know, He had other plans, and that was the beginning, you know, of kind of getting me started on a new chapter in life.
That's beautiful. So, Eddie, come with me, man. I love the cover of the book. Talk about that a little bit. How did you come up with the cover of the book? And then tell us, how did you come up with the name of the book? It is so awesome. Please share with us.
Yeah. So, you know, I got to give credit to my illustrator. Her name is Michelle White.
Okay.
Um, I think we kind of spoke a little bit on the process leading up to the book. But in 2017, after I had written the script and, you know, 50, 100 times, however many times I did it, I started looking for an illustrator.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, man, God, this entire process, man, of writing this book, I know for sure, there's no doubt that God was just leading each step because I had no clue.
Mm-hmm.
I had no budget. You know what I'm saying? And what I
Mm-hmm.
found out is illustrations, man. I mean, you can spend easily, you know, 4, 6, 8, 10 grand just on illustrations, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I don't have that kind of bankroll. And so I went to this particular site, man, and I was scrolling through,
Mm-hmm.
came across this young lady's work, man, just was super impressed, reached out. So this was her first children's book as well
Okay.
as mine, man. And so really it was just a back and forth.
Okay.
The title, Daddy Does Things Differently, really came from, excuse me, it came from, I said that I had gotten hurt. And so what I didn't say is my wife initially was at home with my children, with my daughter. So she had sacrificed her career. I was working. And so she was home with the babies. And she had done that probably, I think my daughter, when I transitioned, my daughter was about to start kindergarten. So
Okay.
my wife had been home for about 4, almost 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got hurt, man, you know, the injury just sidelined me. So
Mm-hmm.
my wife ended up going back and I, you know, stepped in, took the reins, man, and trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
And so Daddy Does Things Differently really just came from the concept of um, uh, now my daughter was going to have to adjust
Mm-hmm.
to a new way of doing things.
Yes.
Because as men and women, we just naturally do things. We don't do things the same way.
That's right.
And so what she was used to with her mom, plus this is all new. So you're talking about combing hair, you're
Hmm.
talking about making 3 meals a day, snacks,
That's right.
washing clothes, cleaning house. And at first, man, it was like, wait a minute,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
I couldn't expect my wife to come home from an 8-hour day
Hmm.
and expect her to do dinner and laundry and all this stuff, man. So I'm not gonna lie, I was reluctant. It
Hmm.
took me a little bit to buy in, man. But
Yes. Yes.
it was just like, this is what it is, man. This is
Hmm.
what it is. And it really just gave me an opportunity, man, to experience life with my children, man.
That's
Um,
beautiful.
He uses what we might consider as a bad experience sometimes, man, to slow us down. I mean, case in point, this COVID situation,
Hmm.
you know, we've had to literally stop. We've had to stop. We're
Hmm.
not doing things the way we used to.
That's right.
And though we can look at it as a negative and this is a terrible thing, and all the illness and the death, and yes, all that is bad, man. But he can use these situations and these times, man, to bring out things in us that we never knew. Um, and then, of course, man, my mom,
Hmm.
just growing up, she definitely just made sure, man, that I was going to be well rounded. So, although I was reluctant in the beginning, man, a lot of it just kind of came natural. I was willing,
Hmm. Hmm.
and my wife was supportive, man. And Daddy does things differently. That was it.
Yeah.
When I stepped in, that was
Hmm.
it.
Eddie, you got to tell me this. Hold up. Now you got this concept, you got this ideal, you knew that God was leading you. You took the things that were from your head, you start writing on the pen. When did you tell us about that conversation that you had with your wife? Said, honey, I'm going to write a book. At the same time, I want to take care of my family. Will you buy? Will you buy in with this concept? Did she buy in or did she not buy in? Tell us
Oh
about that.
man. So that's the blessing, man. You know what? When God orders your steps, man, and I'm talking about in every asset of your life, and that doesn't
Hmm.
mean that you're doing everything right and that I have some special anointing, but when He's really leading your life, man, and at those points when you kind of open yourself up to it, even if it's just a little bit, man, um, things just work, man. So my wife, from day one, was open and supportive. Um, it's funny, man. I'll tell you real quick. The um, One of the things that really, and we kind of talked about it, but I wanted to go back. One of the things
Hmm.
that made me want to write this book,
Hmm.
ESPN had a sportscaster named Stuart Scott
Hmm.
who was diagnosed with cancer, and I think is it the sports? I think it's called the ESPYS. Is that the sports? I think that's the end of the year sports like award show or something that they
Hmm.
do
Hmm.
every year. And this particular year, he had been battling cancer. I forget how
Right.
long, man. But shortly after that, man, he passed away.
Hmm.
And I remember, man, one night I was in bed and I was looking at it. I think it was they were re-showing it or something like that. And I'm looking at this thing, man, and this awesome man. He was an awesome sportscaster, and he lost his life to cancer. Remember, I'd had
Hmm.
that little scare, and that was really um, and so
Eddie,
now
can you
coming
go back
forward,
just a little bit? We lost you for a second. I'm sorry. 'Cause
oh, I'm
everything you want
sorry.
to say is extremely important and the fans want to hear. So go back just about.
Um, so did you hear me say with Stuart Scott? That was the thing that really
Right. Start with after
triggered
he
me
died. Yeah, after he died, then go from there. Go from there.
to want to leave a tangible legacy for my children. And the book is what the book is what we it was what came to mind, man. And so
Hmm.
my wife, just from day one, man, she was by my side, so she was the first editor, and she was the
Yeah.
first one to give input.
Yeah.
along with my kids. So yeah, nothing but support, man.
Eddie,
Truly
can we
appreciate it.
stop for just a second? If
Of
I need to
course,
do
man.
that. No, can you just apply with me? I have to lift you up on that because many marriages, one is doing something without the support of the other, and
Mm,
it's not as successful. But I had to
you're
pause and
right,
lift
man.
you up. That when two become one,
That's
all
it.
everything that you do, you should be standing in agreement. Now,
That's right. Yeah.
explain to me, my brother, what you did when you had writer's block. There were moments where you just
Wow.
could not write anything. What did you do, and how long did it take you to get out of that? Holler at your boy.
So that's interesting, bruh. So, um, man, I got to tell this story, man. There's so many little stories
Tell it. Come on.
because we're talking about writer's block. So, I had a friend, husband and wife, who was having surgery. Her
Mhm,
husband was having surgery,
mhm,
and I wanted to make it to the surgery to, kind of be there to support and stuff. And I
mhm,
didn't make it. After surgery, the husband is in his room, so I finally make it up to the hospital, and I'm expecting him to be out and sleep,
mhm,
and
mhm,
but he was awake, man. And so we're talking, da 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 da, and then somehow or another, I get on the, I share with him that I wanted to write a book,
mhm,
and the first thing his wife says was, "Hey, I know someone who's written a book. I'm gonna put you in contact with this person."
mhm,
So weeks later, after he's out of the hospital, I get this uh, gift by email, and it was uh, both of them had sent me this invitation, or actually it was a gift
mhm.
to attend a writing school, a writing class, to take a writing class.
Okay.
And I would have never done anything like that on my own, man. But the
Right.
fact that
Right.
she had bought this thing for me, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take this class, man. So I took this online writing class. One of the first things that they talked about was writer's block. And they said, what you don't want to become is a butterfly writer. And I think they described it as someone who starts a story, stops, starts another story,
Mhm,
stops, starts
mhm,
another story. So you're starting
mhm.
all these stories and you never finish.
Right.
So, of course, that's the first thing in my mind. What I soon came to realize, though, when it came to writer's block, was I had Daddy Does Things Differently that I was writing, but the way I was able to ease my mind and to just step away from it was to start another story.
Mm.
And I really contribute that to God. Like he knows the beginning and the end,
Come
right?
on. Come on.
And so in 2015, when I started writing, man, literally I wrote, I don't know, probably 15 stories. Okay. But initially the first 3 or 4, I was kind of writing. I started with Daddy Does Things Differently. When I needed a break, I had started writing another story.
Mhm.
And ultimately, that's what kind of carried me through my writer's block. So literally
Okay.
I would leave one story, my mind would have to go somewhere totally different. And so I guess against, what they say you shouldn't do, man.
Come on now.
That's what worked for me, man. And when
Yeah.
God is in it, the main thing was just to not give up.
There you go. I like that. Now, one question just came in, and that is, how come your son's not on the cover of the book?
Ah, Mr. Ethan.
Yes.
So here's the thing. So Daddy Does Things Differently was obviously based because my son at the time, he was probably he was under a year. Okay.
Mhm, mhm,
So when I initially got hurt, my daughter she was old enough to understand that Daddy had been injured,
mhm,
that he wasn't working, and
mhm,
that he was now home,
mhm,
and that mommy,
mhm,
now she was going to work.
mhm,
And so with that, I think just our dynamic and our experience was the one
mhm,
that came to mind with this particular story.
mhm.
The funny thing is that as I would write the story, I would read it to my kids. And
Mm,
I can remember, man, my son he was probably about 3.
mhm,
And I'm reading him the manuscript, about the story. And one day he just out of the blue, he said, in his little way, he was like, "Daddy, where's me?"
mm,
And I was like, Ah, I was like, okay. I said, I got you, babe. I said, I'll tell you what. I said, this story, you're in it, you'll be in it, but the main character is representative of your sister. I said, so I'll write your own book for you.
That's right. Come on now.
And and so he was fine with that. He was
You kind of breaking up a little bit, Eddie, and so you got to go back a little bit once you come back.
I tried to make sure that he's in a lot of the illustrations.
Okay.
So he's a predominant co-character.
Okay.
Although he doesn't have a lot of speaking parts, he's definitely in it. And as far as he's concerned, he's cool because he has his own book.
There you go. So we can say Jasmine is the leading character in this book.
Right. Jasmine is the main character.
Now let me ask you this: what role did Gary Houston play?
Say that again, Chris. I'm sorry.
What role did Gary Houston play in this project?
Oh, Gary Hudson.
I mean Hudson. I'm sorry. Oh, that was your mentor. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Oh yeah, man. So Gary Hudson is one of those gentlemen that he was actually our so for those of you
we appear to have a bad connection, but Eddie should be coming back in shortly.
Are we back?
Yes, we're back.
Okay. So basically, man, Gary Hudson was a Sabbath school teacher who really just kept us engaged, man. He was one of those, you know what? I didn't call him a father figure, but he was definitely someone who just over the years always constantly inspired, man.
Okay.
He was just someone who inspired, always had a good word, a positive word, and a smile. That's Gary Hudson, man.
Okay. All right, let me ask you this. If you look at the cover, because I don't want to deal with the details of the book because I want everyone to go out and to purchase the book. It's a good read. It's an excellent read. And you did an outstanding job for your first book. And I will say first book of many. So
that's right.
You did Jasmine on the first one. Your son is on the next one. And then you may do whatever God would touch in your heart to do. So tell us why your daughter looks so sad on this picture.
Oh man,
talk
she
to
might
us.
need to answer that for herself. But you know what, man? I imagine that as a child, when she was used to and comfortable with her mom being home. They had their routine, they had what they did.
Right.
Being that I work as a nurse, I did 12-hour shifts,
Right.
so I would leave home before they woke up. And by the time I got home, she's on her way to bed. So it was a quick, good night and some story. And then she was off. So I imagine that having to experience change as we all are, man, how do we act as adults when we have to go through change? We don't like it as grown folks. So I can only imagine that as a child, she was comfortable with how things were going. And now all of a sudden, Daddy, what? Daddy is, bringing his flavor to this party.
Yes, yes.
So that picture is like, I am not having it. And thus the title, Daddy Does Things Differently.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Now, everyone wants to know this. Share with us some of the challenges that you had. Did you ever get discouraged? Did you ever say, man, I'm done. I'm not even going to finish this thing. Or when you started this, you said, I am determined to go all the way because Daddy does do things differently. Share that with us.
Yeah, man. So there were definitely challenges, but I will say from the time that, the Lord put it on my heart to do it until this book came out, the prayer was just continue to give me the strength.
Yes.
I wasn't going to quit. This was for my children. One thing that I wanted them to get, that I wanted my kids to get from this was life doesn't always go as planned. you know, we may have plans of how we think things are going to go and what we think is going to happen.
That's right.
But you know, life happens, man.
Hmm.
And I wanted, especially my daughter, man, I wanted her um, to be able to rebound.
Hmm.
So she experienced daddy losing his job. She experienced me, you know, kind of assuming the responsibilities of a stay-at-home dad.
Hmm.
Um, and she experienced the frustration, you know, that I went through with not having a job and, you know, doing what I did. But I wanted her to if I would have quit,
Hmm.
then in my mind, that would have taught her, like, well, when it gets too hard or when the going gets too rough,
Yes, yes,
stop and do
yes.
something else. And I did not want to send that message. So it was like, you know, by any means necessary, I have two books that I have to do,
That's
Lord
right.
willing.
That's
And the
right.
first one was Daddy Does Things Differently. And my son's book is called Bubbles, one of my favorite things. So I said, if I don't do anything else,
Right.
these two I have to do. So I never felt like giving up. It was just one of those things that since I had no experience doing it,
Hmm.
God just sent people, man, periodically to help lead and to
That's right.
guide. And you know, the challenges. I mean, I'm still, you know, I'll say this. Um, being that I self-published my book,
Hmm.
um, I've had to wear all the hats. So before I started writing, I kind of felt like writing was a, 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 a solo or independent thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
I now call writing a team sport since I'm a previous athlete. Writing is a team sport
Come on.
because you need so many people to help you, you know, with each uh, area that you're dealing with.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
with the writing part, you need editors, you need proofreaders,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know, and
Hmm.
then once you've written and you have the proofreaders, then you need somebody to come in and to do your pictures, your illustrations.
Come on.
And then you need somebody after you do the illustrations to do the design and the layout of the book.
Break it
And
down.
then
Come on.
once you've designed it
Come
and you
on.
have the layout of the book, then it's about getting the book printed.
Come on.
And then once the book comes home from printing, now you got to put on your marketing hat,
Come on.
which, you know, I don't know nothing about none of this, man. And all this social media stuff,
Yeah.
man, I'm grateful to have people. God has sent people, man, each step of the way. I call my marketing team right now, Eleanor, Marla, and Alicia, man. They are looking out for a brother on this
Right. Right.
Facebook and Instagram stuff. My
Right.
little daughter, she teaching me, man. So I have another hat on right now, which is the marketing hat. And
Okay.
you know, God is good, man, because I'm
Eddie,
learning.
man, that's beautiful, man. I want to ask you one more question, then let's go
Thank
back.
you, Johnny.
So
Okay.
here's the question I want to ask you. And is it
Shout out,
easier?
Johnny.
Is it easier for you to tell the story as a stay-home father because you wrote a book, or you think it's more difficult for you to be a stay-home dad and not accomplish anything?
Say that one more time for me, Chris.
Is it easier for you to share your story as a stay-home dad and not accomplish anything, or you accomplish a book versus being a stay-home dad? You usually don't want to publicize that. You don't go to church and put a sign on that says I'm a stay-home dad and I watch both of my kids. But it's a little easier for you to say, I'm a stay-home dad. I'm taking care of the responsibilities of my children. My wife and I are on the same page. We're in agreement. She's doing her part. I'm doing my part. And I'm writing a book that's intimate that I can share for life, life issues. Talk about that for a moment.
That's interesting, man. So definitely, I would say um, I felt there were times where people would often come up and say, um, "Yo, man, so you got a job yet? You got a job, man?
Yeah,
Did you find a job yet? Man, what you looking for right now? What kind of work you looking?"
right, right, right.
And I would often, you know,
Would you hit
sometimes
him?
I want to say, "No, no, no, man. You know, I was transitioning too."
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
No, man, I didn't swing on him, bro.
Okay.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Good answer. Good
um,
answer.
but I definitely did feel, man, like um, like there's some pressure, a little stigma of you being a stay-at-home dad.
Mhm.
But when I would have those thoughts, two things, man. My wife, she was down, man, has
Yeah.
always been down. So
Yes.
she never made me feel any kind of way. She always had nothing but love and support, encouraged me. Again, I have to go back to my mom, man. So growing up, you know, I might have to clean the bathroom 3 times because if you do it right the first time, then
Right.
you're done. But
Right.
you didn't do it right, you're gonna do it again and again, you know.
There's a certain
And
standard.
so, hey, so moms really set that standard. She was like, "You're gonna be a well-rounded young man."
Yes. Yes.
I can remember her vividly saying, "You will be someone that will be able to be a helpmeet to your wife."
Hmm.
You know, it's
Okay.
not okay to come home and expect for her to do everything, even if I am working.
Right.
Like
Right.
we're supposed to be a
A
helpmeet
team.
for each other. That's right.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, um, so I did kind of feel some pressure, man. But then, man, I really bought in. And
Okay.
it was like I realized I'm getting to spend some time with my children that
Hmm.
I would have never gotten. My son pretty much, uh, I was all he do growing up as far as
Hmm.
being in the home.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
he made a comment one day that I was like, okay, I got to flip this up because he was like, when I get older, I'm not going to work.
Not under my watch.
I was like, okay, it's time for daddy to get back. Time for this back injury to heal. Because I was like, no, son, that's not
Right.
it, baby. That's
Right.
not it.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, man. So I mean, I, once I jumped in and I just accepted my role, I loved it, man. It was one. It was the best. It was the best experience that I've ever had.
That's
And I
good.
would say, man, I would say for any father, man, you need about 30 days.
Hmm.
You need to jump in just
Right.
so you could feel it, just so you could see what it's like.
That's right.
If you have that spouse or that person that's willing to stay home with the kids
Hmm.
to watch them and raise them
Right.
and to instill in them our
Yeah.
values.
Yeah.
Instead of being upset and coming home fussing and being uh, you know being a sourpuss, man.
Yeah.
It's like experience it.
Yeah.
Experience because you really, man, stay when you're a stay-at-home parent, you're not off. You don't get vacation and lunch
Hmm.
and you know, or I work from this time to this time. It's like
Hmm.
you're always on.
That's
So
right.
whatever needs to be done, you got to do it, man. And so after experiencing that, man, I appreciated my wife the
Hmm.
years that she did this.
Hmm.
I was like, wow, man, Lord, forgive me for any negative thoughts or
Hmm.
if I
Hmm.
ever made any negative comments, like, man, you still,
Right.
like,
Right.
yes, I am
Right.
because I've been taking care of your kids all day. So I
Right.
get
Right.
it, man.
Right.
I get it. I get it. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my wife, doing that.
Hmm.
And really, man, it's been the best experience, man. I'm
That's
gonna tell you,
beautiful. So, Eddie,
the best experience.
when did you find the best time that you could write? Was it early in the morning or was it late at night when everyone was asleep? When did you find the best time that your writing, your creativity came?
Yeah, so it was definitely early mornings.
Okay.
When I was a stay-at-home dad, by the time when my daughter started school, we had to get up and get her. So sometimes it'd be super early. You might get up at 4 and do a little
Hmm.
bit.
Hmm.
And then after she started school, although I had my son, I was able to, after take her to school, I'd have some time that I'd set aside every day and spend, about 2 hours
Okay.
before I needed to do something for him or
Hmm.
in between.
Hmm.
So morning times, for me. By evening time, man, I'm done. I'm
Okay.
done. So I'm out. I'm no good.
Okay. So, Eddie, check this out. So, when you first started this journey, I know it took approximately 6 years total to complete
Yes.
your first book, and it'll be shorter on your next book. But tell me, share with us. I think we all want to know, when did Kim say to you, "Hey, you're getting this stay-at-home father thing down? The kitchen is clean." Share with us when your wife said she was always supportive, but she's like, "Oh, hey, you getting it? You didn't burn the blank, or you folded the clothes properly." Talk about that a little bit.
Brother, I came in. I mean, like I said, man, my mom, she was amazing, is
Hmm.
amazing.
Hmm.
Thank you, mommy. Love you. Um, so honestly, man, I feel like I was prepared for it.
Hmm.
So, combing hair, although I only had one or two styles, I wasn't doing all these intricate jobs that my wife could do, but
Right, right, right.
I could twist it and braid it and it would look neat.
There you go.
Um, so really, man, I really, really, I'm grateful, man. When you
Hmm.
have the type of the type of parents that I had, and especially
Hmm.
just my mom who poured into
Hmm.
me. My mom
Hmm.
stayed home with me until I started school.
Okay.
And so I really just felt like she prepared me, man. And so
Hmm.
I took pride in it before I become a stay-at-home dad.
Hmm.
I took pride in wanting to spend time with my kids, my children.
Hmm.
I took pride in wanting to be a good husband.
Hmm.
Um, I'm still a work in progress. You know,
We all are. Yes, yes.
my wife will tell you.
Hmm.
I'm not perfect, but so I think she affirmed me from the beginning, man. My wife, she leaned on me and I leaned on her, and
Hmm.
we did this thing together.
That's right. That's the key
Yeah,
word,
man,
together. You know what?
together.
This book is so beautiful, and I want those that are listening, I want you to go. You see the website, it's right there, www.eddieharveyjr.com. The book is $14.99. No, we're not leaving. We still have a few more things to talk about, but I want you to go out and get this book. If you know Eddie, if you love Eddie, it's $14.99. He wants to get some of his proceeds back because all the proceeds go toward the next book. And if he likes you, he may write a book about you. So you need to stay on Eddie's good side. Wifey just said he's the best dad on the planet and the only dad on the planet. I'm going
Thank
to
you,
add.
babe.
God is good.
Thank you.
Now, Eddie,
I'm a work in progress.
all of us are. Now, Ed, let
Yeah,
me just
man.
tell me a few things that you want your readers to know. Just to give them a little snippet on what the readers should look for when they begin to read Daddy Does Things Differently.
Well, I think the title kind of says a lot, man.
Hmm.
It says Daddy does things differently, and as men and women, I think we're wired differently. There's no doubt about that.
Hmm.
We can all do the same thing, so I'm not saying that at all. But I think we approach things differently, um, and so I think with this book, um, just on a very basic level,
Hmm.
different doesn't mean bad.
Come on.
You know,
Hmm.
different just means, different just means that it is, um, you know, the
Another
way
way
that
of
I
getting something
approach it.
done. Hmm. Yeah,
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 that's
yeah.
it. And at the end, it's the same goal. We're still after the same goal,
Right.
but it's just, I'm coming at it a different way. But at the
Hmm.
end, we'll connect. We'll have the same outcome,
Yes,
man.
yes, yes.
Um,
That's good. Eddie, check this out. So, with that being said, I just have to ask you this. I'm seeing all these responses coming
yeah,
in.
man. And
Eddie,
thank you to everybody for supporting. I really
yeah.
appreciate it, man.
So,
This is
Eddie,
huge.
tell us this. Tell us this. What can you share with a male, a husband, a father, a brother, a friend that is a stay-home dad? What advice would you give him?
Wow. Um, the first thing I would say, man, is the sooner you embrace it, um, and you just accept like this is what it is, um, and receive it as a blessing. Like
Hmm.
tomorrow is not promised, man, and that was
Hmm.
kind of my thing.
Hmm.
Like, who says that we're gonna wake up tomorrow? Who says that next week I'm gonna be able to do this or that?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, if you ever have the opportunity, as a man, to be with your children, man, that's like priceless time. Like,
Hmm.
there's no money in the world that could replace that. Like you
That's
could
right.
make all the money in the world. You could become a millionaire, but if you missed out on those special moments with your
Yes.
children,
Yes.
you don't get
Memorable
them back,
moments.
man. You know, they're 1, they're 5, they're 10. The next thing you know, they're teenagers. Like there's no going back. And I would just say, man, embrace it. Be the best father, that you can be. It's unfortunate in our society sometimes the black father has been considered absent.
Yes.
But man, in my experience, man, I've just seen, my cousin Shannon, as a young man, he was one that inspired me. Um, my boy Neville, he was a young father. Paul, these were all folks who had children early, man, and they weren't afraid to, it was like these are my children, I helped create them. I'm helping to take care of them. My boy Nev was doing hair. Channing, man, he would drive, 45, 50 miles on a
Right.
Friday night to pick them up,
Right.
bring them home, drive back to take them to karate,
Come on.
come back,
Yeah.
take them back. You know what I'm saying, man?
Yeah.
I used to say, Channing, man, like, why would you do that, man? He was like, dude, these are my kids.
There you go. Yeah.
At the time, I was too young to get that. But now as a father, man, it's like, yeah, these are your children. We do anything for them. And if that means being a stay-at-home dad, then by all means, I'm not too macho to make breakfast in the morning and
That's right.
and fold some clothes, to take care of home, man.
Yeah.
If that's gonna make my house click and run, then that's what it's gonna take. So if that's what being different is about, then I'm all for it, man. That's
That's
just who
all
it
right.
is.
I
And so I
like
would just
that.
encourage him, man,
Yeah.
embrace it. Embrace it. Who knows what's gonna happen in the future? You may not have the opportunity,
Right.
to be with your children like that again. So take advantage of it. And if you haven't, man, hey, just don't be afraid.
There you go.
You know, women, allow your husbands or your boyfriends, allow them to come in and do a little something.
Right.
And
Right.
if they don't do it the way you normally would want it to be done, give them that freedom to do it.
Yeah. Right.
And after a while,
You'll get it.
we'll come around.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
come around. So just hang in.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
I like that, man. So I would just add to share what you want them to do and how you want them to do, and show them in love. I think a male will respond much better if you say, "Hey, baby, I know I do it this way, but can you just try it this way?" It has a tendency to work a little better. Now I want to ask you three questions, Ed. I want you to share with us a memorable moment that you had with your daughter, and then a memorable moment you had with your son during this process, and then a memorable moment you had with your wife, because there was an intimate time that you had with each one. Just share with us on each one.
Wow, man, that's a tough one because literally every day. So that's one thing. When you a stay-at-home parent, it's all in every day, every moment of every day.
Okay.
Let's see, a memorable moment, man. We've had so many. Now, are you referencing with the book or just in general, or
within the book? And then were there moments when you said, "Honey, I just need some time with you," and you called someone to watch the kids so you can take that quality time with your significant other? So share that memorable moment. What caused you to get to that point where you said, "Let me put the book down, let me put my children down, and let me focus on my prime, my number one"? Yes.
Okay. So I would say a memorable moment with my daughter. Although, man, really, I can't even pick one.
Okay.
But in reference to the book, I would probably say, man, like just her involvement. It's crazy because although she was young, I'd let her read it and she might say, "Daddy, maybe you should take this word out," or I don't think girls would do that, or I don't think,
Yeah.
So throughout the book, man, she was one of my, really an editor, if you want to put it You know, so she was just influential throughout the whole process.
That's good.
My son, oh man, he's amazing too. Um, I would say, you know, the moment that comes to mind that I kind of shared with you all was when he realized that, hey, I'm not in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where am I in this story, Pops? Like,
Right.
I'm here every day. When he did that, man, that was so precious to me, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when he was in his own way, it was like, Daddy, where's me? That's what he said.
Right.
And literally in that moment, man, he was like, where's me? And then he ran into the room a little bit later and was like, you know, he wanted to play with his bubbles. Like, Daddy, can I play with my bubbles?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, sure, baby. And he was like, yes, you know, and he took
Right.
off. And so that was the idea for the book, for his book, you know.
Okay.
I love bubbles.
Right.
And so that was a memorable moment, man. Wow. And then with my wife, man, every day, man, I'm so blessed,
Yes.
Chris. You know, our lives are not perfect by any
Mm-hmm.
means. We struggle, you know, we love, we fuss, we argue.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, man, we always try to keep God in it.
That's right.
We
That's
try
right.
to keep, which we try to be mindful of the fact
Mm-hmm.
that He brought us together, that we're a team.
That's right.
You know, I'm not ruling over her. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a situation that, oh no, I'm wearing the pants and this relate. Nah,
Mm-hmm.
man. You know, it's a mutual love and respect.
Yes.
And there's definitely times when she'll be like, okay, bro, I'm proud of you with the books, you know.
Yeah.
It's time. Let's call the grandparents.
Right.
Let's
There you
call
go. Come on.
TT.
Right.
Let's call godmama or
Mm-hmm.
who, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We can watch the kids so we can go and, you know, just spend some quality time, man.
That's
So
good.
I'm blessed beyond measure, Chris, to just to have this beautiful family that I have that God has blessed me with
Yes.
and loans to me, you know.
Yes.
Hmm.
Eddie, how long have you been married? My fault. How long have you been happily married?
Wow, man. We literally this month we celebrated 19 years on June the
Okay.
10th.
God bless you. That's so
So
true.
19 beautiful, challenging, you know, years. But at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, man, it's us.
Yes.
And I'm blessed with a loving and beautiful wife and family, bro.
Man, I'm happy for you. We have about 5 more minutes, and I just want to say I love you as a brother. You have inspired me. I went through this process with my oldest daughter. She wrote a book. Matter of fact, she wrote two
Beautiful.
books. So
All
I was
right.
doing her editing, and so I
All
understand the
right.
process.
Yeah.
But this is not about me. I'm going to put a period right there because I want to talk about you. But I want to let you know that I can relate. I understand. But I just
Beautiful.
want to highlight a few things that you said. And this is to anyone that's listening. If you're going to do a project, and if you're in a any type of relationship, make sure you get the green light with that other person because it makes things easier.
Say that, brother.
I'm gonna try it
Say that.
again. If you're
Say
gonna do
that.
any project, if you're gonna do something with your house and you don't talk to your significant other, it's going to be a problem because the two of you have become as one. And I love this story because he said, my wife gave me the green light. Not only did she
From day
verbalize the
one.
green light,
From day one, bro.
her actions supported that. Yes. And
Yeah.
then he had intelligent children. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't want you guys to miss that. There's intellect by a male being able to stay home because his children were reading.
Yes,
So
yes.
he was not only cleaning, he was educating his kids. So I want to thank you for that. And I'm going to let Eddie give some closing remarks to just share everything that he would like to share in the next 2 or 3 minutes. And I want you guys to go out, and I'm included in that, to get that book for $14.99. What? How much did I say?
14.99.
$14.99.
Come on.
Talk to us, Ed. What do you want to leave us with?
Wow, man. You know what? First off, I'll just say thank you, Chris, man, the Reclamation Project for doing this. Um, you know, I've had so many people, man, that have just supported in this project, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of in awe, man. You know, I feel absolutely blessed. Um, thank you, man, for setting this up and taking the reins, man. I'm honored to have the doctor step in and do this, man. So thanks, man, to you, to Stan Mack and the Reclamation Project. Man, I think at the end of the day, man, I think I would just want to encourage people, live your best life.
Yes, yes.
Realize that when God, sometimes he has to use situations to cause us to slow down. Otherwise, had I not had this back injury, I probably would not have become the stay-at-home dad, which in turn I would have not had the desire to write this story. You know what I'm saying? So life is so busy and hectic, and we go, 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 go. But man, work towards the things that you enjoy. Make time, find time. That's the key. Find time, because as you all know, as we get older, it's like that clock is moving, man.
Yes.
Birthdays come fast.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
man, my birthday again.
Yeah.
But I would say, man, find the time to do something that you really love, and then just go after it, man. Don't let anything deter you or stop you from achieving that goal. God has blessed us with all kind of talents. Sometimes you don't. I'm in my late 40s now, man. So I started writing in my 40s. Okay, growing up, that was never on my radar. It was never something that I wanted to be. I never said, I want to be a writer one day. But obviously it was in there. I dibbled and dabbed in lyric writing in our group, and singing, but never stories. And so it really took this, what I would have called a bad situation, to open up the door to, allow the time and the mental preparation and all that went into writing this book, man. And so I would just say, go after what you love, man. Don't accept mediocrity.
That's right.
And whatever you do, man, you never know who's watching.
That's
So
right.
be it your children, your wife, or friends, you never know who you might inspire along the way. So it may not even be about you. God may say, I need you to do this.
That's right.
For somebody else, man. So I would encourage you to do that. And then for our fathers, man, let's just stay committed, man. Let's stay we're an intricate part of the family.
That's right.
No doubt. We're an intricate part of the family. God has called us to be the servant.
That's right.
The priest is not the head, but we're the one that's supposed to take our family to the altar, if you will, and
come on,
praying for our family, and we're supposed to serve our family. When something is going wrong, I got to put my pride down. And as men, sometimes we struggle with that, man. But we got to put that pride away and realize that God has blessed us with these beautiful families, man, and we got to give them our best. Not everybody out there. If we're giving our best at home, then it's real easy to do it out. But if we're giving our best to the world and neglecting our families, man, I don't think we're pleasing God with that, man. So I would just say, stay invested, fellas, fathers. Let's just be the best that we can be at fathering, and it's a work in progress, man. I'm still working at trying to be the best dad I can be, man. And I'm grateful for my family, my wife, Kim. Thank you for all your support. Kyla and Ethan, I love you sincerely. You are the best thing that ever happened.
I'm gonna leave you with a text, if you don't mind. And the Bible says to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. Guess what? In all thy ways, if you acknowledge him, he shall and he will direct your path. And I think that God, you are a good example of God using someone. And I love your story. Guess what? Daddy does things differently. God does things differently. We do things differently, but we have that one goal. We're gonna meet up together in that good old great getting up morning when we can all see each other in heaven. So with that being said, Eddie Harvey Jr.
Sir.
It's been a blessing to be able to interview you, man. It was a blessing when I saw your book on Facebook, and I hope everyone that's listening to please go get his book. When? Tonight. You can order anytime you want to. So we thank you so much. And the Reclamation Project, the president and CEO is Stan Mackey. We thank you for being a visionary and to open it up that we can share positive stories about positive people in these times that we live in. So we're going to sign out at this time. Peace out, my brother.
Thank you all again, Reclamation Project.